Welcome to another episode of Game Boy Roulette, where we take a look at randomly chosen games from the Game Boy library. Castlevania The Adventure. Rather redundant way to put it, but carry on. Konami is a company that's shown up plenty on Game Boy Roulette, whether it be a football simulation, a golf game, or a skateboarding action game. But how could we forget that Konami had some amazing IPs back in the day, perhaps the most beloved of all being Castlevania. The story of the Belmont family taking down Dracula and his many cohorts created some of the most challenging but fun games of the retro era, and the series remains popular to this day, with a Netflix series, anniversary collections, and at least one not Castlevania but totally Castlevania game. But here comes the really interesting part. Castlevania The Adventure is the first handheld game in the series. I've never played it, but I have played the sequel, Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge. In fact, I consider it to be one of the greatest Game Boy games ever made. Fantastic gameplay, high challenge, and genuinely one of the best soundtracks in gaming history. I've heard many people say that it's a major upgrade from Castlevania The Adventure, but honestly, as long as it set the stage for one of my favorite games ever, this one will be okay in my book. Plus, it'll be nice to see how Castlevania took its first step into handheld, where it would eventually shine in later years. How bad could it be with a cover like this? I mean, look at it. Simon ready to tackle the castle with the looming presence of Dracula in the background. This is the kind of cover that practically guarantees 1 million sales. I've played the sequel, but how does the original hold up? Stock up on your holy water, it's time for Castlevania The Adventure. Konami. Ah, that's a very familiar logo. The Castlevania Adventure. And, oh, what? Okay, I didn't press anything, it's just restarting without me, whatever. Normally I complain about no music on the title screen, but the same was true in Castlevania 2. Oh, come on, let's go. Ooh, high score, stage, what? Oh! Oh, we're just jumping right in. Okay, it's more classic Castlevania style. And it's Castlevania, alright. Alright, where's the meat? I require meat. Well, the background looks nice, and the animations are alright. It certainly looks similar to Castlevania 2. I'm going to be doing a lot of comparisons to Castlevania 2 for Game Boy, just because that's my best frame of reference with Castlevania in general, really. This is good music. Not as good as Castlevania 2, again, mentioning that, but it's pretty good. Oh, the eyeballs! There's a lot of reused sprites. From this to this. What? Oh, well, thank God it had the courtesy to start me where I was. Controls are pretty stiff. Like, not quite as fluid as even the original NES Castlevanias. It's very... Your jump is kind of awkward. There's no momentum. Again, though, those are sort of par for the course in Castlevania, but it definitely feels a little accentuated here. There we go. Oh, are there no special moves? No axes, no holy water, no thrown cross? Oh! No. Oh, there's a lot of slowdown here. Oh god. Oh god. Konami wasn't quite used to the technology yet. Ow. Oh, that downgrades my whip! No! Come back here, you weird chicken goblin thing. Can I reach this? Huh. 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 Jump off. Whip. I managed to whip on both sides. Huh. Damn it. Yeah, this is a lot stiffer than the sequel. Like I said, you know, you could tell Konami's still kind of getting used to the technology, as I guess a lot of companies were when it came to the Game Boy, because Game Boy was all new. You know, definitely more limiting than they were used to. One big difference is that this is in the style of the original Castlevanias, you know, just straightforward platformer. Belmont's Revenge was... Whoa, God! Belmont's Revenge was a lot more non-linear in the sense that some levels had multiple paths, and you could pick what order you did the levels. It was Mega Man style. Well, yeah. Alright, let's jump immediately this time. Jump. Please don't start me at the beginning. Damn it. It has the Castlevania difficulty, but due to the limitations that they were working with, you know, trying to get a handle on the new hardware, it kind of is accentuating all the issues. It took me years to finally beat Castlevania 2, and now looking back, it wasn't that difficult. Although that might just be because I played it so much I've gotten better at it. Eyeball. Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip forward to when we were at the place we were at. Okay, cutting back in to say a couple things. One, I don't like that any time you get hit, you lose your whip power. I mean, that was sort of part of the Castlevania difficulty. Actually, I don't remember. Did you lose all your whip power if you got hit once in the original Castlevania? I genuinely do not remember. And two, I'm just noticing overall this game is really slow. Like, even slower than the NES Castlevania games. It's still better than a lot of Game Boy games I've played. I should mention that. It's still competent, it's just... I know I use the word awkward a lot, so I'm trying to think of a better word to use. It's just a lot more difficult to deal with. Okay, this part again. Hut. 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 Yes, I did it. Oh, you can't be serious. I have to platform on these? Oh, come on. With these controls? Oh, boy. Oh, my gosh. Okay, at this point, I just want to get to the next boss. This seems like the most arbitrary platforming I've ever seen in a game. We did it! This looks like a boss room. Fight me, boss. Oh, it's a... thing? Good fight. Quality boss fight. Like, I want to make it clear, I don't think this is a terrible game, but it's not very good either. Like, you can see they made leaps and bounds of improvements by the second one. Oh, that thing. Here's a fun fact, in Castlevania 2, these things are back. And these are the only things that if they hit you, they remove your whip power. Yeah, it's not terrible, but it's certainly not good. It's definitely very stiff. Definitely very awkward to play. This should probably go without saying at this point, because I've already said it about 100 times, but if you want the Castlevania Game Boy experience, play the second one. It's so much better than this. I mean, just look at this. Oh. I was hoping to fling myself off to show that it would instantly kill me, but the game won't even let me do that. Well, it wasn't as good as the sequel. Boy, the sequel sure is good. Have I mentioned the sequel? Castlevania The Adventure was actually the 13th game ever released for the Game Boy, coming out only a few months after the system launched, and to be honest, it really shows. The game control is pretty stiff, with movement being especially slow and jumping incredibly finicky, and while the general attacking was fine, they threw in some really awkward platforming challenges. Granted, it is a platformer, but these just seemed needlessly difficult to get through. Combine that with the lack of items to use, and it just wasn't as fun as Castlevania usually is. That said, there are certainly some positives about the game. The graphics, especially for an early Game Boy game, were really nice, with nicely detailed sprites and unique backgrounds, and even with the high difficulty and issues, it still had that Castlevania charm and gameplay that made the series so popular. Even the most flawed Castlevania games have their upsides, and this is a great example of it. So the real question is, do the shortcomings hurt the game too much to recommend? After thinking about it, I'm gonna say no. The game is worth a quick look, just to see how Castlevania first stepped onto the Game Boy, but don't be surprised if the package you find it in isn't the best. But still, this game walked so that one of my favorites could run, and for that, I owe it a lifetime of gratitude. And that's all for another episode of Game Boy Roulette. Make sure to subscribe so you can follow the series as we continue to dig through the Game Boy vault. I'm Brian J, and I'll see you next time.